All right, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Tell Me Everything. I am your host, Danielle Spinelli. I have such a fun guest, Kara Smith Brown. She's coming on. She's very just kind of like a woman leader in logistics. And I love talking to her. I met her at the Freight Movement event there in Atlanta. I met her and I was like, oh my God, I got to talk to you and get to know you. And we have to be best friends. So here she comes on. I'm so excited to have her on. She is the lead coverage CEO and founder. She's definitely like a recognized supply chain leader in logistics and technology. She does a lot of speaking events and things like that. She's also wrote her book, The Revenue Engine, Fueling a B2B High Octane Pipeline. Amazon bestseller, super cool. She's right now traveling, doing her workbook from her book. She lives in Atlanta. She's really cool, and I'm so excited to have her on and talk to her. So let's jump in it.
Tell me everything.
Tell me everything.
Awesome. I appreciate you coming on.
Hey, it's great. Thanks so much for having me. That's great. I'm awesome. I'm living the dream.
I know. I can tell. I saw you. So just had your book thing, whatever, in Chicago, right? Was that where you were just working?
So Chicago comes up next Friday. We have 2 more workshops to go. So we wrote the book. The book is an Amazon bestseller. We're super proud of it. And then we wrote the workbook to go with the book. And we took the workbook on tour. So if you come to the tour, you get a free workbook. It's 28 exercises on go-to-market, specifically in freight and supply chain. And then we do about 2.5 hours of content, which is like what's working in supply chain, what's working in freight. And then we have lunch. It was great.
That's so fun. Okay,
Yeah.
so it was New Jersey, or you just finished then, right?
Just New Jersey.
Okay.
Yep, we did.
I knew you were somewhere.
Yeah, we do them on Fridays. I got really good advice from Sangram Vadre. He wrote a couple of books, and he's done this before, the tour. And he said, do it Friday mornings. People will come for late breakfast, spend the morning, and then they'll just take the rest of the day off. And I'm like,
right.
Oh,
Yeah, like perfect way to start your weekend. Yeah,
exactly. So it's worked out great. People have been awesome. We've had some really good groups come. We've had big groups of people from companies show up, and it's been awesome. Yeah,
that's really fun. I bet that's kind of like oh my God, this is so cool, type of moment that you have.
It's really rewarding. It's the first couple were a little unnerving because I didn't really have the talk track down yet. The awkward thing that happens is the workbook is it's like a big workbook, and there's 28 exercises in it, and so you could spend the whole time just having people do these fill in the blank exercises.
Yeah.
What I found is it wasn't as effective as I was hoping it was, and it made the 2.5 hours really choppy. So I'd be okay, take a minute and fill out page 7, and then let's talk about what you learned. And then it would kind of break, and then I'd be okay, now back to the topics. It kind of just broke it up too much. So we ended up just kind of having this 2.5 hour talk track. We know exactly what we want to talk about. It's basically casting the vision of what's working in freight today and then what's going to work in freight tomorrow. So we're kind of on if you call the bleeding edge of what's happening in marketing in supply chain. And so we can tell you this is the tech stack that's working. This is what's coming in AI. This is where you should be using AI in your go-to-market. This is where you should not be using AI in your go-to-market. So yeah, it's been really good. It's been a really good exercise. And then I'm officially on the speaker circuit now, which is really fun.
That's so fun.
So that repetition, the at-bats of doing that in smaller audiences was really helpful, because 2 weeks ago, I was in front of 300 people. And you don't want to do that cold. You don't want your first time being on stage in front of 300 people to be the first time you're on stage, right? So the smaller audiences have been really nice at-bats.
So do you rewatch your stuff that you do, or do you I can barely rewatch myself. It's really difficult.
I really hate it. The worst was listening to myself read my book.
Oh yeah.
It was the worst. So by the time you finish writing a book, you've read it 6 times, right? You just want to throw it out the window. And then you publish it and you're okay, washing my hands of it. It's someone else's problem now. And then you read it out loud. So it takes 3 days to read it out loud. And there's a woman in your ear and she's you said that wrong. And you have to go back. It was a really exhausting 4 days.
Oh, I bet.
And you have to listen to it, because you have to make sure that you said all the things that you wanted to say the way you wanted to say them. So then it's 6.5 hours. So it took me like 13 or 14 hours to listen to myself read the book to myself. And then you have to go back in and make edit. It was,
Yeah.
book writing was not great. Like I don't give book writing 10 stars. But reading the audiobook, I give like 0 stars.
Yeah,
That was
I bet
way
that was
worse.
hard.
It was hard.
Luckily with podcasts, like I don't talk that much. It's usually somebody else, but that has been hard to edit myself. So like my original career, like right when I got out of high school, was I was in telecom. I worked at like a call center, and they monitored your calls. And so then you'd have to like go into these rooms with these people, and they like review your calls with you, and they just like butcher you. I mean, they're like, you did this wrong, you did that wrong. And you're like, okay. And I'm 18, 19. I'm like freaking out. So like now hearing myself, I hate it so much. And like even whenever I speak on stage, I'm always like, I'm very hypercritical of myself, and I'm trying to get better at just being like, you know what, just who cares, whatever, but
I think we're women.
yeah,
So like we are our own worst critics.
right.
Right. Like I mean, no one can criticize me as much as my internal critic criticize
Correct. Yeah.
like you think you're hurting me. You have no idea what goes
Yeah.
inside.
Right. I know. I
Let's
know.
be
And I love this saying when they're like, women only really get ready and do things for other women, not really for men. Cause it's like, we all know that you could walk up to any dude and be like, hey, you want to drink with me? And they're like, sure. What? Yeah. But it's harder to like make a girl like you.
It's so true. It's so true.
Well, I love it. So, let's break it down from like the beginning. So, like, how did you get started in? I guess freight was your first job, or what was the first thing you did?
It's basically my second job. I went to the University of Illinois in Champaign-Urbana and worked for a nonprofit association management company out of college. Lasted not very long, but I had actually loaded trucks in college. Yeah, this is so crazy. At the final mile delivery for the Expo Home Depot stores in Chicago. So when I got my job interview at Echo, I was number 12 at Echo Global Logistics. So I interviewed for this marketing job, and they were like, well, what do you know about trucks? And I was like, that's kind of funny you ask. I loaded trucks in college. And they were like, great, you're hired. Like, you know more about trucks than most of the executive team does. So I got hired. I actually watched Doug Wagner get hired through a glass conference room like window. Yeah, so I was there before Doug, and he walked by 3 years later, and he's like, we're gonna go public. You want to write an S1? And I was like, yeah, I will Google that. And when I know what an S1 is, I will figure it out. So I walked to Barnes and Noble at Clark and Halstead, and I bought Stock Investing for Dummies. This is 2007, 6, 7. Like there's no like Facebook hadn't IPO'd yet, right? And so I read the book cover to cover. I came in the next morning, and it was all like dog-eared and highlighted. And I was like, all right, boss, I know all of the stock market. Let's price this IPO. And he laughed at me. He's like, okay, relax. Like, we have bankers, but I'm really glad you want to be involved. Like, thanks for your energy. So they were super kind to me. I got to do like the NASDAQ website and Reg FD and just kind of like be ancillary to what the like real IPO that they were working on that I was not a part of, but they were very kind to let me be a part of it. And then I got picked up out of there by Seco. I was there for a minute, and then I got picked up by Osborne Hesse Logistics in Nashville before they became Geodis. So my corporate career was Echo IPO, Seco for a minute. They were they were still private at the time, and then Osborne Hesse, which was owned by Welsh Carson. So I had kind of done, IPO private equity kind of work. And then I worked for a garbage brokerage for a minute, which, yeah, it was not the same as freight brokerage. Do not recommend. And then started my own shop. So I learned the math that less than 2% of female founders will break $1 million in revenue. It's such a small number. It's 1.7%. It's an American Express number. And I was like, all right, hold my beer. Let's go do that. So we did that.
Yeah.
It was actually an all-female team at the time. And the next number is 10. So the number of women who break $10 million top line is statistically irrelevant. They don't track it. It's just a list of names. Yeah. So that's the next goal. We're almost there. We've been almost there. I wish this freight recession would end. That would be so great. But yeah, so it's been a really good ride. So now we're, 40-ish people. We do go to market only in supply chains. We're hyper specific to this space. And we service anything from big public companies all the way to like, freight tech startups and everything in between, but only in the space. So we think of freight as the physical movement of goods, the tech that moves the goods, and the money that moves the goods.
Yeah.
And we'll service anything in the market.
Love it. So start off with women. How do you get along really well working with women? I get along way better working with men. I love women and like I all my girl I've got a bunch of girlfriends and all that stuff, but it's kind of hard working with women sometimes. It's a balancing act, I feel like. How do
It's
you
so
feel?
interesting. I'm the boss. So I don't know. It's a better question to ask the women who work for me, and the men who work for me, honestly. I think of as a female founder, I've had to just decide to be the boss. And regardless of my gender, the business comes first. We put people to work, we create jobs, we service customers, we make market leaders of our clients, we make market leaders of our people. And we just kind of do the job. And I am not a normal woman, that's for sure. Like, I'm very aware that I am not normal. um, I don't want to talk about soccer games and babysitters. I definitely want to talk about work. I'm not your girlfriend to kind of like call and be a shoulder to cry on, but I am definitely the woman you want in your corner when there's like a crisis. Like, you have a problem or you need a money problem solved. Like, I'm definitely the girl that you want to call. So I think as a boss, I'm gender agnostic, I would hope. Um, but I think it's really different for a female founder. I think it's just a different experience. I've had weird things happen to me just because I'm a woman. People have different expectations of me because I'm a woman. I've had a woman one time tell me, "I don't understand, you're firing me." And I was like, "Yeah, you're not doing the job. Like, you got to go." She's like, "But you're a woman." And I was like, my gender has nothing to do with your inability to get this work done. I don't know why that impacts that.
It's
So,
like,
yeah,
did you think your job was safe because I was a woman? Because I don't know. I think maybe we give a little bit more extra time, like, hey, like more coaching and stuff. But at the end of the day, I mean, we can still make business decisions just as well as a guy can. So
I think I think it's actually the other way around, Danielle. I think people expect me to be kinder. They
gotcha.
they have a level of expectation because you are a woman that you
Mhm.
will give more grace, that you will reduce your expectations. Like, I have children, and so they kind of assume that because I'm a mom that I'll like be okay with you taking off to go to the school play and not using PTO or getting your work done because you have to do school pickup. Like, it just doesn't compute for me, right? Like, the business has to come first because I take being a job creator very seriously. So there are a lot of people who depend on me to pay their car notes and rent and mortgages and put food on the table. And there is nothing worse than having to say to someone, like, you don't have a job anymore because we didn't do a good enough job making sure that you have a job. Does that make sense? And so I don't think people understand. That's a broad statement. I think it can be hard to understand a woman making hard calls, and for some reason men are given like a little more grace when hard things happen. And I think men are thought of as like leaders when they have to give hard feedback or be direct, and women are not given the same respect. So that's been kind of hard. Yeah.
Yeah, which I think it depends on the personality, and that's for men and females. Like I'm pretty blunt, and like I'm not gonna be afraid to hurt your feelings if I say like, you suck at this, or I won't say you suck at this, but you know what I mean. Like basically, hey, you could do this better. It's funny because my daughter, she's 16, and we're kind of emotionless, like a little bit, and so like she was at like the senior softball thing, and like everybody's crying. She's the only one not crying. She's like, this is just part of life. Why are we crying about this? I'm like, oh Lord, I think I may have messed up on this, but also I know she's such a leader and like she knows that she can kind of make it where like she doesn't have to have, I guess, the same emotions. Like some women are like that, and some men are like that too. It's not just women, but you're right. I think that we kind of get put in a box, which is interesting.
Yeah, I think there's more expectations put on me than I think I deliver, if that makes sense. People have expectations of me because of my gender, and when I don't meet their expectations, then they're disappointed. And I'm like, I don't know why you would have that expectation of like, that is not who I am as a human being, right? No matter what gender it is. So yeah, it's been a little bit of a wild ride. I've thoroughly enjoyed being a woman in supply chain though, because I feel like there's a lot less, it's easier to become known. Like, a friend of mine said she said, oh, I was talking about your book at like a soccer game, and this guy I was talking to happened to be in freight, and she was like, oh, do you know Kara Brown? And he's like, she's very well known. It was like, there's only one Kara in freight. So I think that's really helpful. Like, if I was a guy named John, that would be a lot harder.
Right. I think it's funny when people are like freight famous and they're for sure freight famous. It's the thing. Yeah, I do think being a woman in logistics, like you said, there's less of us, so you're able to kind of, if you are one that's bold and you can make your voice known, people are gonna listen to you. But I also love, like, I get along really well with guys. Like, I've always had as friends as like from day one. That's been like, I usually was like the Tom girl out there. I wakeboarded, I skied, I snowboarded, I did all those things. With a big group of guys. I wasn't with girls, so I can, like, shoot back and forth with them, and I had so much fun. And I think as a broker on the floor, that was my like my favorite thing, is I could just be totally like one of the guys, I guess. But I guess on your perspective of things, being in the marketing and then being the boss of things, did you have that same type of experience at all whenever you worked with males, or was it totally different?
Yeah. It's so funny. I'm also really tall. You and I have met in person. Like, I'm really tall. So I'm 6 feet tall, flat footed, and I generally wear heels because they're just good shoes. And so at 6'3" or 6'4", like, I'm intimidating to most people, gender non-specific. Like, I'm a big person. I'm a big personality. Like, I don't remember feeling like one of the guys, but I definitely was not one of the girls that you would like hit on, if that makes sense. Like, I've never been small and cute. Like, I've never been, I've never really been like, I don't know, a target of anything inappropriate or like weird, or being one of the guys. And I was this is probably TMI. I know you're gonna publish it, but I was sober for a really long time too. Like, I didn't drink for a really long time, for like
Yeah.
15 years. So
Dang.
it's like, yeah, like, and I was doing Ironman. So I was
Oh,
really, really
wow.
fit. So when I was early at Echo, those 3 years, I wasn't drinking and I was really, really fit. And I've always taken things really seriously. Like, I would like to be considered a serious business person. I was talking to an investor in the space at a trade show at one point, and he was kind of being nice to me, and he was like kind of placating me a little bit. And then he found out how big we were, like, revenue wise, and he was like, "Wait, what?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm like legitimate, like 40 people, like we're gonna crack the $10 million mark." Yeah, I want to be taken seriously as a business person. And I remember his kind of shock, and then all of a sudden he's introducing me to people, because there was an element of like not being taken seriously until I like kind of laid my proverbial what on the table, which just happened to be like this revenue number. And so I think it has taken me I think I've been a little bit like guarded to not be too cutesy or fun, or like get too in the weeds on like relationships that are, even like mildly inappropriate, because I really do desperately want to be taken seriously as a business person. And I think there's a line, right, is easy to cross. And I think I crossed it in my 20s a couple of times when I shouldn't. And so now that I'm in my mid 40s and, I've got kids, all the things, like, I'm an adult. And again, I have these human beings that I'm responsible for. Like, I have so many people that are counting on me to get this right. I think it's important for me to be just taken seriously as a business person
Yeah.
first.
I think it's interesting you bring up the whole fine line thing, because I think that's something that's not talked about enough, because the fine line is very fine. Like, there's like I'm in sales, so like there's a little bit of flirtiness that you do, and that's with male and female. It's nothing. It's just honestly kind of my personality, and I'm like in everyone's face and whatever. But then sometimes somebody can perceive that as me trying to come on to them. I'm like, whoa, I don't know how I did that, and like I will rethink on everything. I'm like, oh, maybe that one moment I went a little this way, or maybe they took me that way. And then you kind of have to rethink on how you are. And now that I have sons, and my oldest son, he's 17, it's like, you kind of have to like, I feel like guys in a way take things, they just think women are a certain way and you almost have to break that mold. Um, anyways, I can go on a tangent about that forever, but yeah, I
I
think
do
you're right.
think I do think that I've been very impressed in my career, really, with the men that have been around me in my career, that I have been taken seriously most of the time. I think I was very blessed early on. Doug Wagner at Echo took me seriously from the beginning. I was a child when I worked for him, like I was a baby. Um, and he was very kind and generous with his time and like letting me kind of like shadow him. And I never felt anything inappropriate at Echo, and it was a freight brokerage. We were like, 1,000 guys on the floor. Like it easily could have been something weird, but I think I found myself in a good spot there. And I think there have been a lot of really great men in freight that have taken me seriously from the beginning. Um, and so yeah, I found a really good spot. I'm very happy and comfortable with the position that I'm in, if that
Yeah. Well, definitely
yeah.
when you find men that can mentor you too, and women, I mean, having those mentors make a big difference. So with the breaking on your own and kind of doing your own thing, is that how you feel like like the whole marketing perspective, you're able to take that into your business now and you're just like, hey, I've done this from this level at this level at this level, like let's freaking rock and roll. Is that kind of as you stepped on her? Because that's a scary thing to do, start your own thing. How did you have the confidence with them?
I just got fired a lot.
Gotcha.
Oh, laid off, fired. I just didn't belong in other people's sandboxes. I'm a marketer at heart. I'm really a salesperson at heart that ended up being a marketer. I had a boss one time and he laid me off and he was so nice about it. He was like, God, I like you so much. You're so great, but you're really a salesperson. I'm like, I'm not a salesperson. I'm a marketer. It turns out I'm really a salesperson and I love it. And I love sales and I love everything about it. I love the relationships. I love the diagnosing problems and getting in and figuring it out. And then I think what's been really cool in the last 3 years or so is we have found ourselves at Lead Coverage in a really interesting position where we are taking the best of what the SaaS community is doing. So this is intent data, great tools that are coming out, AI in your marketing tech stack, HubSpot, Salesforce, 6sense, Demandbase, that all of the big guys in our space have been using, right? So like the big public companies have been using this for a long time because they have all kinds of cash and they have smart, talented people. But the mid-market in supply chain is just, there's not a lot of great go-to-market talent that the mid-market can afford. People don't come out of Harvard and think, oh, I can't wait to go work for a middle market 3PL. It's just not, no offense to my middle market 3PLs, but it's just, they're hard to find. And so I found our spot for us, which is bringing in what the SaaS community is doing and then applying it to enterprise, mid-market, and SMB to the supply chain ecosystem. And so we've really identified 3 strategies that work in freight. It's really not that hard. Like there are 3 strategies that will over-index on effectiveness for anyone in supply chain and logistics. And as long as you kind of get these 3 things right, you're going to win, because most supply chain management companies or logistics service providers are not investing in this stuff. They are still like 2001 called and they're still doing the same thing. Like, they're still banging on phones. They're still sending mass blast emails. Like they're still spending a lot of money on trade shows and not getting a lot of ROI just because there's just not enough sophistication in the go-to-market engine in most of these companies to know what good looks like. And so we've taken a really specific approach to making sure that we understand what good looks like, and we're actually publishing it, which I'm super excited about.
That's really cool. Yeah, I think having a good tech stack like that foundation gives you the ability to not have to do the mundane stuff and you can kind of do the extra things that are fun, like, and like you were talking about with marketing and sales. I think those two go hand in hand. Like I studied for a little bit for marketing, but I'm at heart a salesperson. But like I market myself and my product by me selling, it kind of goes hand in hand. And so having a tech stack where it does the automation of things or it keeps me in line, my little ADHD brain in line that I can, okay, hey, you need to check on these people and stuff. I can just focus on what I need to focus on and kind of do what I do best at. So I guess you're applying that same method into your company, right?
Yeah, exactly. So we wrote the book on it, right?
Right,
And
of
so
course.
we found the thing that works. We broke it down into an easy to understand ecosystem framework, really, and then wrote the book on it. So if you just read the book and you follow what the book says, like you should be relatively successful or more successful than you are now. We really like HubSpot. It's our favorite tool in freight. It's the cheapest, easiest to use. There's some very specific things about HubSpot that I like my broker clients to have, or my forwarder clients to have, or my tech clients to have. But generally, it's the best and easiest tool. And there's very few other things that you need. I really love the addition of intent. The idea of using intent data to really identify when people are buying, really when. So Professor John Dawes is a professor in Australia, and he talks about the rule of 95. You'll appreciate this as a salesperson. He says 95% of your buyers are not buying at any given time. So every day you wake up looking for the 5% moment. There's a 5% moment when someone is going to say, oh, I need that. And that's the moment when you have to be available and follow up. And so we spend so much of our time at the business trying to get in front of the 5% moment for our clients. And I say a couple of things in the book, and I still believe them, is that the who is more important than the what. So what you say to someone is relatively unimportant as long as you have the who and the when. Well, you could send a blank email with "I can solve your problem" on the right day, and it'll convert,
Yeah.
right?
Like,
Um,
what are you going to do? Yeah.
yeah, but like 17 paragraphs of how great you are at what you do is never going to move the needle. So I think we take it really seriously, understanding the ideal customer profile, getting the right records or email addresses into a tool, and then identifying whether or not the humans that you want to show up are actually showing up to your ecosystem.
Yeah. And I think everything's kind of changed in sales and marketing where everyone's kind of used to that TikTok feed and you're scrolling and like the 17 paragraph email I would never read that ever. Like it needs to be so fast and that's the only way I'm ever going to pay attention.
So there are still humans that want the 17 paragraphs.
Are they the older generation? Because I can't even believe
More
anybody
based on personality. It would make sense that
Okay.
you, Danielle, you're bright, you're sharp, you mentioned ADD, not me, right? So like you're doing 1,000 things, you're moving 100 miles an hour. It makes sense that you would want emails with very little
right.
weight in them. I'm the same way. Like, don't send me an email, I won't read it.
Yeah.
We have a tool that tells us the psychographic profile of the people that we're emailing. So this is all AI, right? So whether or not you should send Danielle an email that's like 3 sentences, like, here's your problem, I have a solution, call me, which is basically all I would send you. But my husband is a skeptic and he wants like all of the information in one email. He doesn't want any fluffy stuff. He's very by the way. So any operator, and if you think about it, freight, we're reaching out to a lot of operators. I had the opportunity to sit down with 140 shippers this year. It was incredible.
Oh, wow.
Being at a broker show, you can hardly get a word in edgewise. Everyone is talking all the time. You can't get them to calm down, right? Come on, F3 finishes their stuff at 3:00, so everyone can go to the bar. Like, we know how the brokers behave. The shipper show, they had to bribe people to talk. They're operators. So what you think works for you is not always what will work for your customer, right? But we now have tech that will tell us what is appropriate per human being. It is so creepy. It's the creepiest thing you've ever seen.
And so basically it's AI and it's almost like paying attention to how they use their everything, I guess, right? Like whenever they say like, hey, my Siri's listening to me all the time or Alexa's listening to me.
Yeah.
That's
so
like
if I were the woman that built this technology, I'd be on a very different podcast. But let me tell you what I do understand. What I do understand is, I don't know if you remember this, but in 2016, when Trump got elected, there was this whole fiasco around Cambridge Analytica. And they were selling psychographic profile data of actual human beings from Facebook. So Facebook had created these psychographic profiles. this still exists.
Interesting.
So psychographic profiling is taking your activity online, so LinkedIn, Gmail, etc., and applying, these giant models to humans that behave like you are generally this type of personality, which is absolutely bananas. There's two tools for this that we like a lot. One is called Crystal Knows. The other is called Lavender. Crystal Knows lives inside your LinkedIn, so you can see, if you click on the button, what is Danielle's personality profile. And if you use Lavender, Lavender actually helps you create an email based on the psychographic profile of that person.
That's like really cool.
Yeah. So people are now getting like hyper personalized emails
Yeah.
based on their psychographic profile.
Interesting. Yeah, so me and my girlfriends back in the day, like we were in our early 20s, we got really big into personality tests, like obsessed. We we were doing them like all the time, and we would everybody we knew, we made them do one. So we got pretty good at, like, guessing. Like we would meet somebody for like 5 seconds. We're like, we know what your personality is, and it's kind of funny because you can kind of like you feel so special as a person, but then really you're just in these like 4 categories, and it's like,
Yep.
are you that special?
You're
That
just one
kind of
of these
person.
4 types, right?
Huh?
You're just one of these 4 types. And I think if you think about who you're trying to get in front of, so if you're freight tech trying to get in front of brokers, that's a very different profile than a broker trying to get in front of a shipper or a forwarder trying to get in front of a shipper, right? It's just, if you're trying to get in front of salespeople versus marketing people versus operators versus tech people, like it's not just the language that matters. It's the approach, it's the how long the email is, it's the subject line, and all of this now lives inside of technology. We're no longer guessing.
Yeah, that's amazing. So that's mainly how you're using AI. I mean, there's AI in like everything though, so I'm sure you're using AI in different things as
We're
well.
using it all over the place. So we're HubSpot's supply chain partner. So basically anytime HubSpot gets a supply chain or logistics company, we get the phone call that they're looking for a partner. So we're using tons and tons of HubSpot AI all over the place, but it's HubSpot's native AI. So we just use what they're building and they're doing a great job. So we're super happy with it. We really like Clay. Clay is an agentic AI tool. Imagine like Excel and ChatGPT had a baby. And so you can take this Excel ecosystem, and then you can ask it to go prompt against, like we use it for like research on companies, like company research. So go read this 10K or go search the website, et cetera, et cetera. And then it gives you a weight as to how good it is at that delivery. So do I think I did a good job on delivering you the prompts that you asked for, scale of 1 to 10. So it's really cool. We like Clay a lot. Those are probably the ones that we use the most. Of course, we use ChatGPT every day, all day, just like I hope everyone else does. But the kind of cool stuff we're using from an agent perspective has a lot to do with who are you getting in front of and when are you getting in front of them. And I think primary intent data is the sexiest thing that HubSpot's ever done. So inside of every HubSpot, you can go into the back end and turn on buyer intent. And buyer intent will tell you the human beings that are coming to your ecosystem. I'm going to swear just once, if that's okay. I
Yeah,
feel like
go
it's
for
okay
it.
for your audience.
Yeah.
So
My audience is mainly brokers. We all
yeah,
customer.
exactly. I think we're good. So we often say when an ideal customer profile, so someone that you want to buy from you, comes into your website, like comes to your website, I'll ask at these workshops, like, what is that? And everyone's like, I don't know, like intent, da da da. And I'm like, no, it's a goddamn miracle.
Right.
It's an actual miracle
Right.
that someone that you want to buy from you hits your website. Like that's an absolute miracle. Make the phone call, right? So the highest and best use of intent data is this kind of like seeing exactly who's coming into your ecosystem. And it's all just inside of HubSpot now. It's the great, I feel like I sell HubSpot for a living, but I don't. But the use of it and the ability to see all of this stuff at scale, they just released last week, actually. You can now, inside of HubSpot buyer intent, see when people change jobs. So you can see, and if you're tracking all of your activity on a human, not a company, then all of your human tracking activity goes down the tube. So like there's just a lot of really interesting stuff coming out when it comes to like the sexiest SaaS out there.
Yeah, we used HubSpot prior to us getting acquired, and honestly, my favorite thing in the whole wide world is whenever you can see how many times they click on your email and how long they look at it. I'm like, oh yes, tell me how many times you click on it. And sometimes it would show up like, oh, they just looked at it, and I would be like, give them a call, like, hey, just was thinking about you, and it's like, no, actually, I saw that you clicked on my email.
You are like the I'm gonna borrow your actual name now when I talk about this. So my other favorite is Jeff Portney, my head of sales. We use buyer intent every day, all day. So when we go to big trade shows like the big TIA show, we will take a look at who has been to the website in the last 60 days and then reduce the humans that we need to get in front of from like 4,000 to like the 62 or 33 or whatever it is that have come to the website. And so Jeff Courtney was on the trade show floor and he saw one of the people that had been on our site a whole bunch. And he's like, there he is. And like runs after him, like chased him down and like introduced himself. And so reducing that opportunity cost from like every single person at the trade show down to, the 25 people that even know who we are and are interested can be such a game changer, right? Like actually putting value on the board from a show or from an opportunity speaking engagement can be such a game changer for sales reps.
I was gonna say, and even for sales reps, the confidence boost that like, hey, I actually can close things because I'm talking to the right people instead of getting shot down and you're like, oh, am I actually the worst salesperson alive? No, you're just not having the right people that you're talking to, and or like you said, that 95% that's not buying, that's who you're talking to.
That's right. And
yeah.
so we spend, I would say, 95% of our time just helping our clients find the 5% moment. So who is it? Who are you getting in front of? When are you getting in front of them? And what are you putting in front of them when you do? That's basically what we do every day, all day. And there's 3 really strong strategies that do that for you. So one is having an executive point of view. This is like an index, right? So you're sharing with the marketplace something that no one else has. 2 is intent data. We've talked about primary intent, but there's really 4 different types of intent data. It gets really technical and I'm happy to walk through them. And then lastly is partnerships. One of the things that the supply chain ecosystem is really, really favorable when it comes to like how people perceive things is partnerships. So this started actually, Jet McCandless started this when he started P44, the very early days of P44. He did a ton of partnerships. Every week he was putting out a new partnership press release. And Highway does it really well now, right? They've got a ton of partnerships going out. McLeod is another one that does a good job. They've got like 170 partners in their partner ecosystem. And the third party credibility around partnerships is a really big deal in supply chain. So if you do those 3 strategies and you kind of execute, sharing the good news, tracking interest on it, and then following up quickly, like you should win. Like there's no reason not to win if you're kind of following that process.
Yeah. And I think the partnership part too, like having that word of mouth referral is so like that's priceless. You can't buy that. So you're like, I can't believe how busy you are. How do you even have time to do anything? I mean, you're doing all these different things. I'm sure your schedule is insane. How are you managing everything?
I have a great team. I have a wonderful virtual assistant. She makes sure that I am where I need to be when I need to be there. I think you just make trade-offs. You make trade-offs. You have to have a really strong leadership team if you're going to grow a company. I'm super proud of the leadership team that we've developed. We've got great people on the team. It's been a really good, it's been a good ride. I think the book was more, it was more well received. I think that's where I would say that. It was more well received than I expected. So when I wrote the book, like, I don't know, I'll hand it out to like 100 people and say that I wrote the book on it. And it's a legitimate Amazon bestseller. Like people from outside of freight are using it. I get people asking me all the time if we'll work for them because they love the book and they want us to do like what we do in supply chain for them. And I have to say no, because we're like really staying true to this ecosystem. So that's been really fun, like being an Amazon bestseller is like, I don't know, like it's kind of awesome. I don't hate it.
I know. That's really cool. So do your kids recognize like what a boss lady you are, or are they just like, oh, this is mom, this is normal?
I think they do to some extent. I happen to live in this weird hippie village outside of Atlanta where I am just one of a lot of really amazing female business owners.
Oh, really? That's really cool.
Yeah, the per capita of really cool female entrepreneurs in the like literally in the neighborhood where I live, it just happens to be insane. So some days I'm just mom, other days they get it. Most of the time I don't think they care. They just,
Yeah.
they just
They're just
want
living
fun.
their life.
They're 11 and 13, so
Oh,
they
okay.
just want at this point they just want phones. Like this is just the constant phone conversation at this age. But I think they get it. My husband is in the business. He's my chief operating officer, and so I'm the one on the road all the time. So my husband is the primary parent when I'm not here, and I think it's been really good for them to grow up and know that like dad can solve problems and dad can do what needs to be done. Um, it's a different childhood that I had. My mom was a stay-at-home mom, and so, I don't get to go to every school activity. I don't participate on the PTA, right? There's not enough hours in the day. So, there's trade-offs to it. But I think everyone's a little happier when I'm on the road. I was home I was home for like the last 2 weeks of August because August is just like really slow. And I remember it was like Labor Day weekend, and my husband was like, "When are you leaving again? Is it soon? Like, are you leaving soon?" Like, both in the house, and in the business. He was like, "I need you to get on the road. You're best when you're in front of people. We need to get you on stages, right?" So yeah, it's been fun. I feel like if you have an opportunity to you're doing it, right, with the podcast. Like, if you have an opportunity to lean into things that kind of get you excited and are your magic superpower, right? I think the hedgehog effect, I referred from good to great. Like, if you know what you're really good at and you can defend it, then do it as much as you can. So I've definitely I've tried to stop doing the things that I know I'm not very good at and doing more of what I know I'm good at, which makes
That's
everybody happier.
I was gonna say that's probably like a developed skill because I think I still struggle with what I can balance. That's been that was my on my vision board is 2025 was learning how to balance because I was doing like last year I was like crazy with work. I was kind of almost like neglecting my kids in a way. Like just was not like I'd show up whenever it was basketball season. I love basketball, so I was there for basketball season. I was doing all that stuff, but then the rest of the year I was traveling and doing all those things. So I'm like, how do I? And prior to when I was a broker, I worked from home and I was always around. I always did everything. So then they went from like mom always there to mom never there, and they were like they were freaking out. So I'm like, I gotta figure out how to balance this. But I wanted it to be where I am I wanted to be like almost a role model to my kids, where it's like, hey, like you said, like that dad can do this. He's just as capable as I am. I can do this. I'm just as capable as he is, and like we even renovated our house and I laid the tile, I did all that stuff and I made sure that they
Oh my gosh,
watched.
you are busy.
I know. And I'm like, I wanted it to be where it's like I can do anything and everything. And I have one daughter, two sons. And so my daughter, she's kind of the same way. She's like, I know I can do this and I can do that. I'm like, okay, good. I'm hoping that was me pushing
I
that.
would I would
Mhm.
like to believe that I have something to do with them. I have two girls. I would like to believe that I have something to do with them, like being strong, independent women. My 13-year-old got her first like babysitting job, and she just like walked out the door on Saturday, like went to her babysitting job, walked down the street. I would like to believe that they are independent and like pretty well formed humans because they've watched mom be the boss. My husband didn't always work for me. I mean, the first 5 years of the business was me and a couple of women and like making it work. And I was finishing an MBA, so I was working all the time. And then on the weekends, I would like go back to the office and study and finish an MBA. But I don't know, Danielle. I also kind of feel like there's this idea of an A player, an A plus player, and it comes from Jeff Smart in the book. It's about how to hire great people, but it's called Who or top grading. Top grading is like the philosophy, and the idea behind top grading is A plus players have always had more than one job. Like they've always had lots of responsibility and increases in responsibility over time. And so I think my children watching me like have more than one thing all the time, I hope has shown them that they can do the same. And they're both girls. And I did not grow up with female entrepreneurs as anywhere close to a role model. Like nowhere in my life did that exist. And so I think we're kind of forging it a little bit because I don't actually have older women CEOs that I talk to on a regular basis. There just aren't that many. Like they just don't exist. I actually went to the Women's Entrepreneurship Initiative in Atlanta. It's the only female like ecosystem funded by a city in the United States. And I was in the very first class. And I remember being in this big boardroom and there were all these like, Atlanta like people, like well-connected people in Atlanta. And they said, what do you want for like you have one ask, right? Give us one ask. And a lot of them were asking for like office space or money or, stuff like that. And I asked for a woman. I said, I would like to be introduced to one woman who has taken a business over $10 million in revenue alone. I would like to meet her. And the only one they could give me was Sarah Blakely. Like,
Oh, wow.
and she's great, right? But she's really busy doing other stuff. And so they gave me like two other women, and I was like, no, those two women are CEOs, but they're hired guns. Those
Right.
are wonderful operators, and I know them both, and they're wonderful. But like, I want a woman who has gone 0 to 10 million alone, like
Right.
without any outside capital, doing it herself. And literally, they came up with there was one name in the whole city. Yeah. And so I think later they found me another one and she was in like car washes and things. But like the point is like there's just not that many. Like they just don't exist. And so I think doing this for my girls, I don't necessarily want them to be entrepreneurs, but if they choose that for themselves, I want them to have the model and know that they can.
Yeah, or know that they can kind of bulldoze their way through. Yeah, like my mom was a stay-at-home mom too, and like it's funny because I'm terrible at cleaning, and I blame that on her because she always cleaned for me, always. So I never had to like do it myself until I was on my own. But no, I luckily like my dad always pushed me and was like, you can do this, you can do that, you can do this, and so he was the one that was like always in my ear, like, yeah, you got it, you got it, you got it. And are you, where do you rank in your family? Are you firstborn or?
I'm firstborn daughter. I'm
Yeah,
like
me
all
too.
firstborn daughter energy.
I know, me too. I almost
I
was
have
like,
a,
I
I
could
have
call.
I have a couple of absolute rock star women on my team. I got 3 or 4 like rock star women on my team, and we
Yeah,
are all firstborn daughter
it's the
energy.
best.
Like, we
Yeah.
talk about it.
There's just something about it. I don't know what it is, but yeah,
I don't know either. Like,
I know. I just handled everything. You can multitask and do all the things and handle all the like my younger siblings, like all their emotional stuff. I was able to just be like, "You're fine," you know. I guess that's a firstborn daughter thing. I don't know.
yeah, I don't know. My mom and I are really close. She's awesome. She's still like one of my I like call her. She's the only one that'll like listen to me call when I bitch about stuff.
Yeah.
She's like, tell me everything. I'm like, like it was so bad, Everyone else is like, I don't want to hear this. I think I hope that I can be that for them one day. I'm definitely not the mom who like wants, I don't know. I'm not super maternal, if that makes sense. But I hope that I'm getting a lot better as they get older, as we can have like real conversations and we're talking about like real things. I'm I'm a much better mom as they're getting older. So I'd like to believe that the older they get, the better I'll get.
It's almost, I
Right?
think they just kind of become your friends. Like mine, and I was young when I had my kids, but like I think almost like you're like, hey, I've done all these things and I can relate to these things. For like the younger, I'm the same way. Like I'm kind of maternal, but not really. Like I don't want to. I could never be a school teacher. I'd end up just being like, screw these because I got to get out of here. I can't handle this. And even my kids would just drive me nuts. But then now that they've been older, I have such a good relationship with them. And I think that's just because I'm like, I guess I'm more of a friend than anything. And I'm like that. I try to be that mom where it's like, hey, if you mess up, it's fine. Let's figure out how we can fix it. And I'm not going to, dwell on that or whatever. And I'm sure you're the same way.
Yeah, I think maybe. I think I do believe very deeply that they have one job right now, and their one job is school. And so I have very high expectations on what these girls can do. Um, I have a sibling who has a lot of learning disabilities, and neither one of my children have a single issue when it comes to school. And so if I did have a child that had learning disabilities, I would be very empathetic because I grew up with it, but they don't. So I'm like, there's nothing wrong with you. You are perfect in every way, right? You have a silver spoon in your mouth. Your father and I can afford to do whatever we want to do, pay for the tutors, do all the things. Like, your only job is to crush school. And we made that very clear to them. So I think that they're growing up with like a really good sense of responsibility. Like, they know that school is their job. We are not helicopter parents. We don't like do their homework for them, etc. But they're both doing really well in school. So I hope we're doing okay, right? Like, we could be screwing them up. I don't really know, but they seem to be okay. I know, right? There will definitely be therapy for something.
Oh yeah.
What therapy is for, I think, is TBD.
I'm kind of excited to find out. Like, what did I miss my kids out on? Yeah, because I know it's coming, but yeah.
We should do this again in like 10 years. And like, what I would tell, what are you like, what did you do?
Yeah,
like,
what did you do wrong?
Like, there are moments, I have moments of my 13-year-old's life that she will tell me, like, you said this thing to me. And I'm like, did I, or did I really say this thing to you? And she's like, and so it doesn't matter, like, this is the way she remembers it. And I'm like, all right, well, there you go. There's your therapy. You can go tell your therapist that your mom is horrible and this is what she said to you when
I
you're
know
13.
I'm pretty harsh on my kids. Like, especially my daughter is very like, you did this. I'm like, yeah, and what? I don't care.
I think
They're like,
the relationship, like your mother-daughter relationship. Like, I don't have sons. I don't know. Maybe the good Lord knew that I was incapable of dealing with young boys. I don't know, but
boys are hard, by the way. I think they're
I
hard.
would,
Girls.
yeah.
They're hard.
I don't think that I was meant to have boys. And he gave me 2 girls, and I'm so happy, and they're awesome, and they are becoming like little besties. They're super great.
That's
And
cool.
we live in this weird hippie village very far away from anything, and so we have to like drive them places. And so they definitely know that we are the access to their friends because we have to drive them places. So there's a lot of negotiation that happens, which is kind of fun.
It'll be interesting for you because it's once they have that sense of free, like once my daughter turned 16, I was like, wow, you're like a 30-year-old now. Cause she's like, oh, I have my like time management's done. She's like, I have my expenses out for the week on how much money I need for gas or what I need for this. And I have sports here and I have this practice. She's like, by the way, there's a game tomorrow. If you want to come, if not, I'm good. Like I handled this or whatever.
I
I'm
don't
like,
need you.
what? Yeah, it was like but it went from like taxi driver service. I had to do everything to like the next day. I'm like, she could live on her own and she'd be totally fine. It's so weird.
That's great though. I mean, you've done a good job.
I hope, well, like I said, 10 years later, we'll see what I've
Yeah,
done.
what I mean is like she's not coming to you like I ran out of gas. I have a sibling that would run out of gas.
Yeah,
like
well, I was that person. Yeah. I just think pumping gas is a waste of time. Like this, you know what business model they should come up with is the one where they drive around and they like come to your house and they fill up your gas tank. I would pay so much money for somebody to do that for me.
It probably does exist. Now we drive electronic cars, so we don't have to stop for anymore.
See, maybe I need to do that because then I don't have to go to a gas station.
Oh my gosh. So living so far away from the city, we bought a self-driving car, and it saved my marriage, actually. Like, because like just being that far from anything, we have to drive, an hour to get into Atlanta from where we are, and sitting in stop and go traffic, like there's nothing that will destroy anyone's like good mood faster than like stop and go traffic. But when you're not driving the car and you can just sit and have a chat, like it's actually, it's not the worst anymore because the car just drives us. So thanks, Elon Musk.
Right? Exactly. Yeah, Atlanta traffic though. My God, I'm an hour northeast in Gainesville. So
yeah,
it's
well,
fun.
we moved to Airbnb, so we're south. We're in this like weird village, and we love it. It's a great spot. The kids are super happy. We love the weekends here, but yeah, during the week it is the haul into the city. It's intense.
Well, thanks for coming on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This is cool.
I know this has been so fun. So, where can everybody find you? I know your book's on Amazon, but tell all your things so everybody can.
Yeah. So you can find me at leadcoverage.com. That's the name of the business. You can always find me on LinkedIn. I post all the time. Feel free to send me a LinkedIn email. I check them religiously. And the book is called The Revenue Engine. So you can catch me both at leadcoverage.com and therevenueengine.com.
Awesome. And that your workbook, is that online too? Or do you have
It
to
is
get it
not. Yeah, you have
Okay.
to come to a workshop to get a workbook. We should be
Dang.
publishing it in Q1.
Okay. I'll be
Yeah.
looking for that. Cool. All right. Well, thanks for coming on. Bye, everybody.
Tell me everything.
Everything.
Tell me everything.